so from a real estate perspective and from a guest experience perspective, we don't want to deliver a commoditized product. We want to deliver a product that people are going to remember, they're going to write home about, because that's going to elevate the guest experience. But then it also protects us from a real estate perspective by having really differentiated, unique real estate. If we're in a beach market, we want to be beachfront. If we're in a mountain market, we want to be as close to the slopes as possible. I think that's a really key focus of Wander's acquisition strategy, but then it also really, I think, provides a high floor on returns for Atlas, because we know that the assets themselves are demand generators in themselves, whether it's architecturally significant, location, etc.
So Atlas is a private, non-traded REIT that's sponsored by Wander, that we created to give investors the opportunity to invest in a brand new asset class, the short-term vacation rental. The return profile can be very, very attractive in these short-term rental assets, and I think what we're doing here at Atlas is we're compiling a diversified portfolio of very high-end luxury short-term rentals across the United States, so that investors get access to not just a single property, but a portfolio of properties across the country.
Wander is managing the properties to deliver the guest experience that guests associate with Wander as a hospitality brand, and that guest experience leads to a strong rental return, which after expenses then gets distributed down to investors in Atlas. There's really two value creation engines that investors in Atlas get access to. It's like value created by Wander just through like amenitizing the properties and through, delivering such a high quality customer experience, which, is significantly better customer experience than what you can get at other short-term vacation rentals or hospitality assets. And then it's the value generated by owning the real estate.
Certainly it is an emerging asset class. There really aren't any institutional short-term investment managers, and that's really what Atlas sets out to do, is become the first and largest institutional short-term rental investment management company.
As the asset class becomes institutionalized and you're building a portfolio of cash flowing assets, and you start to value those assets based on the cash flow that they're generated as an institutional investor would, you're going to see meaningful upside to the returns for Atlas.
So effectively, we're taking these homes out of the residential real estate market where they trade on a per square foot basis, and we're moving them into a brand new category of a hospitality asset that has cash flowing and is in value based on the yield delivered by those investments.
So I think that's where the opportunity gets really attractive from a real estate investment perspective, is basically being able to take a single family home that is worth XYZ based on square footage to building a portfolio of single family homes that's worth XYZ plus 10 or whatever the number is based on the cash flows that it's actually being able to derive.
Right, and I think you made a good point also in terms of the liquidity. I mean, as we operate these homes as short-term rentals, naturally they're valued as such based on a multiple of their cash flow, but in a downturn situation, they could also be liquidated back to their original asset category of a residential real estate home. So we have some additional liquidity and downside protection.
I want to be in markets that have limited inventory of supply but high demand, and I want to be in a market where my product can be super differentiated versus the rest of the marketplace. So I don't want my house to be able to be, compared to 5 other houses that look the same. I want to own the best real estate. I want to own the nicest houses. I want to own the most amenitized houses, because those are all things that are going to drive higher ADR and also higher customer satisfaction.
Right. So more of those differentiators might be terrific views, extremely well-appointed houses, and we also do some special things inside our house to make them smart home enabled, such as workstations, the ability to control the air conditioner, the fireplace, the lock to the door, all through an app. So it's a really seamless experience for them.
Yeah, I think using using smart home technology, it can deliver an optimal guest experience for all the reasons you mentioned. Like, we want it to be easy for someone to stay in our house. You combine the amenity set that we offer, whether it's the use of a Tesla in all of our houses, the smart home technology, access to 24/7 text concierge, with the marketing machine behind Wander that is able to push out content to basically market these homes on a real-time basis, more so than exists in any other short-term vacation rental owner. That's how you're able to drive higher occupancy, higher ADR, which is a higher return for our investors.
And that really is different than all of the other players in the short-term rental space, because as you said earlier, it's a fragmented space, and therein lies the opportunity for Wander to kind of own the entire value chain. Really is Wander the corporate operator that's taking the riskiest piece of this investment. They're doing the conversion, putting it onto the booking marketplace, getting it sort of ready for prime time, so to speak, seasoning as a short-term rental, getting some operating history behind it. Then once it's ready to go, it's stabilized, that's when you transfer it to the REIT, and you're not even doing that at a premium, right?
Correct.
So you're doing it at the original cost basis. So in effect, the investors are getting a post-converted asset, at the cost of a pre-converted asset. Generally, the institutionalization of this brand new asset class, right? We're applying, traditional, large-scale commercial real estate underwriting principles to a relatively new, small and new asset class, but it still has to be underwritten with the same sort of discipline. And when you combine that sort of institutionalization of the underwriting process, along with sort of a sea change in the mentality of travelers and wanting better experiences and more spacious accommodations and so on, it's a pretty good combination, a great time to be getting into this business in a big way.
I think when you think about it, you just touched on a great point. Really, like, consumers find a lot of value in what we're offering relative to traditional hospitality. Right. You get more amenities, you get more space, you get access, to new experiences that you don't necessarily get in a hotel. And I think that's one of the reasons you've seen such a surge in vacation rentals.
Because it's not a commodity product.
Yep.
Right? What we're offering is truly unique and special in a lot of ways. It's very, very different than your traditional, even a very high-end hotel. It's a completely different experience, and our operating history is proving that people there's a lot of demand for that.
We're just at the very beginning of transforming the short-term vacation rental market from a fragmented industry with inconsistent guest experience to transforming it into a institutionalized, brand-focused hospitality sector that is going to deliver consistent cash flows, consistent guest experience, and Wander is at the forefront of delivering that. There's billions of dollars spent on travel today. So Wander has the opportunity to, even if we just grab a small share of that and we're grabbing sort of we're delivering the highest end customer experience at the highest end homes, the opportunities for growth are almost limitless when you look at
short-term rentals across the country. One of the cool things about Atlas really is sort of a tech-driven platform. So we've created a really smooth onboarding process to be able to invest in Atlas. We have a terrific investor dashboard on which you can view the status of your investments and dividends and past dividends. You can download documents. You can access anything that you want to know about your investment on our dashboard. And so the technology that's supporting the investment management business of Atlas is really first class. And so the place you would go to if you were interested in investing is start at our website, wander.com/Atlas, and everything should be right there at your fingertips.